Visiting Prague in the wintertime, it can be magical. But if you come unprepared, it can easily turn your trip to the winter wonderland into a frozen nightmare. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can survive a Prague winter holiday. And I'm going to be sharing you some best tips. And if you come missing some of the crucial things I'm going to mention in this video, then I'm going to tell you where you can get those things in Prague. So let's start with the weather of what you can expect. The winter time in Prague is usually between November and March, and usually January and February are the coldest. When it comes to temperature, it's been recorded that it goes to -12. I personally, in the last years, I've experienced -17 degrees Celsius. And when it comes to snow, it does snow quite a lot, usually within January, February. And the highest peak of snow which has been experienced is around 5 inches. So it does get quite high over your boots. Another thing which usually affects your mood is the sunrise and sunset. The days are going to be shorter in winter time, just like everywhere else. And we usually experience the sunset is around 4 p.m. And when it's 6 p.m., it's completely dark and lights are on. So you are not going to really see as much of those top attractions. So when you're here, it's better to plan to go around and walk around earlier in the day when the sun is still shining. So the best thing which you can do when you're coming here is layering up like a local. Once the temperature goes down to -17, you're gonna be kicking yourself for not being prepared. So the first thing which I normally have is thermals. So basically leg warmers which you put under your shorts or your shirt. Without the thermals, you've lost the game, yeah? Because the wind is biting when it's really cold and it's so uncomfortable, especially when you're crossing on the Charles Bridge. There's like a really strong wind from the river and this is just not a nice experience. The other thing which you need is gloves, usually leather gloves or some kind of waterproof gloves which remain dry inside even if it gets wet, because sometimes you can get snow and some rain or light rain and you don't want the stuff to freeze as you're wearing the gloves. Highly uncomfortable. And then the other thing is snow boots, or I personally like trainers, as long as they're waterproof as well, because once it gets wet and you're walking around in the mushy snow with salt, the shoes get ruined to some extent, and then the water is seeping in and it's also freezing. It's such a horrible experience. I don't like it. So you definitely need some shoes with also a good grip. This is really important. The last thing is hat. You do need a woolly hat, something warm as well, not the light one. You do need something quite thick. So if it's unfortunate that you forgot some of these things at home, then there's a couple places you can go. The first one is Palladium, which is one of the biggest shopping complexes where there's 200 stores. You have some fast fashion in there, your H&M's, your Zara's. Another place which I recommend is called Half Price, and this is on the Wenceslas Square. There's also a lot of fast fashion shops there, and here you get some higher brand stuff and it's usually half the price or less. So that's also nice, and you can get something which you can use for a longer time beyond just your trip to Prague. One thing you need to think about is accommodation price versus comfort. Usually we want to have the better price by staying a bit more further out from the Prague center. We usually recommend Prague 6 or Vinohrady, for example. But once it's cold, once it's winter, as I said, the days are shorter. So do you want to spend that time going into the metros and into the buses trying to get from your accommodation to the Prague center and you lose like an hour or 2 hours of the day? I don't think that's worth it, considering how much money you are spending to come to Prague. So you do need to consider maybe spending a bit more money to be able to stay in the old town or new town. Or you can also consider Malé but Malé is a bit difficult to walk because there's more hills, and if there's snow, it's a little bit slippery. That way you get to harness most of the day without time wasted on public transport. If you want to move more between the attractions in Prague, then public transport is gonna be your best friend, especially when the ground is wet and slippery. So you can use the metro. The metro is quite cleaner and it's smoother and it's faster to get in between destinations which are further apart. The other thing is buses and trams. Usually in the center it's mostly trams, so you're gonna find they do run quite frequently if you do want to take them, and they are very efficient. Even if it's snowing, they still travel, they still move around. Compared to UK where I grew up, once it's snowing everything stops, but in Prague it keeps moving. One thing which you can do on a cold day is balance your indoor to outdoor time so that you can get time to warm up in between the walking around. There's a lot of things which you can do which are indoors. We have a lot of museums which you can visit. For example, the National Museum, you have national galleries if you love art. There's so much things which you can do. Even for kids, there's a technical museum. There is so much, yeah. So you don't have to freeze all the time outside. Even if you go to the Prague Castle, you can enter the buildings and you can go in and out as you explore, so you stay a bit warm. And another thing which you can do is visit some cozy cafes. For example, there's a May Cafe which opened a couple years or a year now, and in there they serve some great coffee. It's really cozy. There's also Choco Cafe. If you have kids who love chocolate, or if as a grown-up you also love hot chocolate, that's also quite a cozy and interesting place which you can visit. Another place which I went was Mishak, and I went to record there on a winter day. It was so cozy, it was so nice when I ate some of the trinjeks, which are traditional Czech desserts. They were very nice, and when you go and you see outside the window the cold and people are freezing and you're in there having a warm coffee with some Czech dessert, nothing can beat that. On your last day to Prague, before you reach to the airport, if you feel like you want to do some shopping and the weather is just horrible outside, then consider the Pop Outlet, which is located 10-15 minutes away from the Prague airport, and you can easily get an Uber or taxi, and I think they also have a bus which is running from the airport to the shopping center. What you have is an indoor shopping center where they're selling discounted designer goods, and you can buy some stuff and you're completely covered, and they also have some restaurants for you to grab some food, so you can stay comfortable, you can buy some stuff before you go home. One thing is they don't really have souvenirs. They do have a lot of clothes, designer stuff, suitcases, jackets, but I know it will be too late because you'll be already heading home. But definitely consider visiting Pop Outlet to get some last-minute shopping right by the airport. 2025 has been another unusual year for Prague, as there's a recent rise in hepatitis A cases. It's brought back memories of the COVID days in Czech Republic, where there was the largest number of cases compared to other countries. For some reason, Prague has been the center of these last two outbreaks, and it's probably not going to be the last time. These kinds of illnesses, they tend to climb in autumn and winter, especially in the busy tourist season when people are coming for the Christmas and winter holidays. So you need to stay mindful. That means keep washing your hands, carry and regularly use some disinfectant on your hands, and avoid touching surfaces you don't need to touch, especially in the public transport. These small habits of hygiene, they're gonna go a long way in keeping you healthy whilst you enjoy the city. Winters in Prague, they're definitely unique and enjoyable. You can go, for example, ice skating just by Vltava River. You can go for some incredible markets to enjoy some mulled wine. So check out this video here where I show you some recommendations of the best things which you can do in Prague during the winter time.